You know they say seeing is believing, right? But I think it goes way deeper than that. What if seeing, I mean really seeing something firsthand, is the secret key to understanding pretty much anything? We're talking about everything from how your vote gets counted to how your morning coffee makes it to your cup. Because let's be real, true understanding, it doesn't come from a book, it comes from actually being there.
And yeah, there's actually a name for this super powerful learning method, the field trip. I know, sounds like something from grade school, but at its heart, it's all about one thing: closing that huge gap between what we read about and how things actually work in the real world. It's all about that first-hand experience.
And that's the thing. We usually box this in as just a school activity, don't we? But let's just totally reframe that for a second. What if a field trip is actually a powerful tool for anyone? For you, for me, for any of us who want to peel back the layers on a complex system and really truly see what makes it tick.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, it all kicks off with our very first principle: learning by seeing. It's all about the power of just being there, of direct observation, being right in the middle of where the action is happening.
So to show you how this works, we're going to put this whole framework to the test. We're going to use a fantastic case study based on our source material, a field trip to a local election office. Yep, we're going to see the machinery of democracy up close and personal, right there on the ground floor.
But hold on, a great field trip isn't just some casual visit. No, it's more like an investigative mission. And you know what every good mission needs? Preparation. So it's time to get your Investigator's Toolkit ready.
Seriously, preparation is everything. First step, you gotta choose your mission. What's that one complex thing you've always wanted to figure out? Second, and this one is absolutely critical, you have to get permission. You can't just waltz in. Third, pack that kit we just talked about. And finally, maybe the most important tool of all, your questions. A really well thought out questionnaire is basically your treasure map.
So, what exactly is in this kit? Well, the essentials are actually pretty simple, but they're super powerful. You've got your questionnaire, obviously, a notebook and a pen, because you gotta be ready for those aha moments that you didn't see coming. And a camera, because man, a single picture can tell a whole story and capture details you totally miss otherwise.
All right, toolkit is packed, mission accepted. Let's go. Welcome to the local election office. We are heading inside to see exactly how a simple choice, a single vote, gets transformed into a certified official result.
Okay, I want you to picture this. You're in this room. You're sitting right across from an election official. You've done your homework, you've got your questions ready to go, and you're about to pull back the curtain and see how this whole thing really works.
So first question, and it's a big one: who are the people that actually make an election happen? You know, when you walk into your polling place, who's really running the show? Is it just a handful of people, or is this some kind of massive coordinated operation?
And the answer? It's pretty amazing, actually. It's a huge team effort. You've got a chief electoral officer at the very top, that's a full-time gig, but once an election is called, they suddenly deputize this massive workforce from all sorts of other government departments. I mean, think about it. Public school teachers suddenly become polling officers for the day, and the whole thing is supported by an army of volunteers from right there in the community. Okay, so we've got the who, but now for the how. How in the world do they keep track of millions of voters? People are moving all the time, right? So how does the system make sure that every single eligible voter gets counted, and just as important, that nobody votes twice?
Well, the answer is this thing right here, the electoral roll. And you can't just think of it as some static list. Nope, it's more like a living, breathing database. Officials are working on it constantly, adding new 18-year-olds, taking off people who've passed away, updating addresses. This document, this one list, is the absolute foundation of a fair election.
All right, so we've got this master list of every voter. But now what? How do you organize all those people geographically? How do you take a giant, sprawling city or a huge rural area and slice it up into manageable polling stations that people can actually find and get to?
This map right here shows us how they do it. This whole thing is an electoral constituency, and if you look closely, you can see how it's all broken down into these smaller little chunks, right? These are the voting districts or precincts. Each one is designed to handle a certain number of voters, making the whole process on election day way more smooth and efficient. It's all about that geographical organization.
Okay, so we've covered the people and the paperwork. Now let's get into the tech. What's the one piece of machinery that's at the very heart of the modern voting process in so many places around the world? It's this guy right here, the electronic voting machine, or EVM for short. It's pretty simple. A voter just presses a button next to their candidate's name, the vote gets recorded instantly, and boom, you're done. This machine has completely changed the game for elections, but like any technology, it comes with some trade-offs.
So let's break it down. On the plus side, the advantages are massive. You get incredible speed. We're talking counting millions of votes in no time. You get accuracy, so no more confusing or invalid ballots, and there's enhanced security. But on the flip side, these machines are expensive. There's always a risk that they could malfunction. And a big one for some models, there's no physical paper trail. It's that classic trade-off, right? Efficiency versus the ability to double-check everything.
So, we've gathered all this information. We've seen the process with our own eyes. But the mission's not over, not even close. Because having a bunch of raw data is one thing. The final, and honestly the most important step, is turning all that stuff into actual insight.
And that's where the report comes in. Now don't tune out. I don't mean some boring homework assignment. A good report tells a story. It needs a solid introduction, it needs to talk about the people you met and the work they do, and it should even take an honest look at the real-world problems and challenges they're up against.
Really, this last part is all about connecting the dots. It's about taking all those little pieces, the facts, the photos, the answers to your questions, and putting them together like a puzzle. You're weaving them into a story that explains how the system really works, the good and the bad. That right there, that's where true understanding happens.
So we've just walked through how this whole field trip framework can help us understand something as complex and as important as an election. But, that's just one example. Now it's time to turn the camera around and point it back at you. This quote from our source material just nails it, doesn't it? A field trip isn't just something you do, it's a mindset. It's about finally recognizing that there is no better teacher than first-hand experience when you want to understand the real-world systems that shape our lives every single day.
Look, the world is absolutely full of these fascinating, complex systems, and most of them are hiding in plain sight. I'm talking about your local water treatment plant or the giant warehouse that ships your online orders. So here's my question for you. What's the one system you've always wanted to truly understand? Find it. Go on a field trip, and then come back and tell its story.